Stack.
Stack 5.
Yeah. All right. Looks like we're live on the Conscious Approach channel. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. My name is JV Wins. That, of course, is Dogon SS. Thank you for joining us for another edition of the Conscious Approach video series on YouTube. We do this each and every week. So thank you for tuning in. Before we get started, as I always like to say, if you happen to be catching any of our content for the first time and you like what we're doing over here in this little corner of YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can join in with the tribe. Go ahead and hit the like button, man. Let us know what you think about the content. Leave a content. Let us know what you think about what we're doing over here. But moreover, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We certainly appreciate the support as we continue to crank out this logical content each and every week. So thank you to everyone who has already continued to join, and thank you in advance to anyone who hops onto the train along the way. With that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get started. First thing that we are going to talk about this week, of course, is Ja Morant.
You.
Hot button issue. Everybody is opining on Ja Morant. Anyone who is following along with this story knows what we're talking about. After initially being suspended by the NBA and serving what was an 8-game suspension away from the Memphis Grizzlies, and NBA superstar Ja Morant, he went on this contrition tour. He was sent to some sort of rehabilitation place to get help or therapy. Of course, we never know what that means. I never know what that means. No one ever knows what this therapy ever entails. It's just something that they do for PR purposes. Oh, just go to rehab, go to therapy. So Ja Morant did all of that. He lost a chunk of money. He didn't make the All NBA team. It's estimated that he lost anywhere between $40 and $60 million when you combine him not making All NBA with also missing game checks. So after that, everybody thought that Ja Morant may be on the straight and narrow. But of course, on the afternoon of May the 14th, was it? Mother's Day? Yes, May the 14th, Sunday, Mother's Day, Ja Morant was spotted in an IG Live video that has since been deleted, listening to rap music in a car with one of his homies, toting a pistol. And you cannot hide when you put stuff on the internet. The NBA found out, the Memphis Grizzlies found out, and now Ja Morant has been suspended indefinitely from all team activities. An actual punishment has not been levied at this point, but it is suspected that he will serve a lengthier suspension. No one knows what the amount of games are. We're not going to speculate on what that is. That would just be a ridiculous guessing game. But be that as it may, Ja Morant toting pistols on social media publicly once again. And so a lot of people have opinions on this. One of the people who has an opinion on this is Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson is a guy who both Dogon and myself, during the first incident with Ja Morant, said hopefully Ja Morant does not take any advice from Steven Jackson. Because Steven Jackson's track record, and I'm not just talking about his playing career, even post-playing career as a person in the media, is one of I'm about that life.
Right.
But now he'll definitely make excuses as to why he's about that life or why certain things have to happen the way that they do. But Steven Jackson nevertheless spares no expense to position himself as someone who is about that life. And we will provide context on that in a couple minutes. But Steven Jackson had an opinion on Ja Morant. He was recently on I Am Athlete. Steven Jackson was also somebody who initially defended Ja Morant. Initially, the first incident when he said, hey, man, he made a mistake. Y'all make mistakes too. Don't throw stones at a glass house. Let him get a chance to recuperate and recover from his mistake. Don't be hypocrites. We all should be given the opportunity to learn from mishaps, which in essence is correct. We just thought that it was a little curious, that type of message coming from him, although not surprising. So, it was interesting to see that Steven Jackson now, in light of Ja Morant doing this for a second time, apparently, is sort of, chastising Ja Morant for making a foolish decision. So this article here is from Hot New Hip Hop. It says Steven Jackson calls Ja Morant a moron. Steven Jackson is a former NBA player who went through a lot in his career. Although he made some mistakes, he was able to eventually redeem himself. Now he offers advice to the young players in the NBA who may follow in his footsteps. Overall, this is a very noble goal, as he could very well prevent a player from making a life altering mistake. Moreover, he is seen as an OG in NBA spaces, which
Ugh.
gives him that much more authority when speaking on certain topics.
Ugh.
A few months ago, when Ja Morant got in trouble for toting a gun at a Colorado strip club, Steven Jackson defended Morant. At the time, he noted that it was a mistake and that Ja can still get his head right. However, Ja ended up making the exact same mistake over the weekend. This led to criticism pointed in Jackson's direction. That said, Jackson is owning up to his role in defending Morant. During an interview of the I Am Athlete podcast, Jackson was very blunt about Ja's behavior. Quote, I was one guy that actually went to bat for him because I've been a guy who thrown a lot of money at a young age and made a mistake, Jackson said. All the people like me that was taking up for him that said it was a mistake, that he's a young kid. We can't go to bat for him this time. This was the dumbest thing he could have done. This is a moron move. His parents should be embarrassed. These are some very strong words. However, it aligns with how many throughout the NBA world are feeling right about now. So, let's see. I actually wanted to play. There's a longer version of what Steven Jackson said. So I do want to get that queued up because this piece here on Hot New Hip Hop is the shorter version. So that was the sort of context for Steven Jackson there. So here is what he had to say about this situation in video form.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and listen to what Stack had to say real quick.
Oh, boy.
I was one guy, that actually went to bat for him because I've been a guy who was throwing a lot of money at a young age and made a mistake. You know what I'm saying? But I, I'm totally different from the person I was. And, I think a lot of people commend me on the changes I made, after the mistakes I made. It's not what you do, it's what you do after. And what you do after is not do the same thing again, what he just did. So all the people like me that was taking up for him that said it was a mistake. He's a young kid. We can't go to bat for him this time. This was the dumbest thing he could have done. This is a moron move. His parents should be embarrassed. His friends around him that, like we said, from the last incident, wasn't his friends. So it's just a fucked up situation. But you got to really just put everything in his lap and let him deal with it. He got to deal with everything that comes with it because he done the same dumb thing again that he act like he went and got help for. Just like I told y'all, he didn't talk to nobody and get no help that fast. You know what I'm saying? It was no way. That was a publicity stunt. But this is all on him, and can't nobody defend him. And I won't. I definitely won't stand up and defend him because that was the dumbest thing you could have done.
Once is a mistake, twice is a choice. And
All right, so that's enough of that. And now you actually wanted to provide a little further context for Steven Jackson. So we'll just play this one and then we'll go ahead and get into the commentary.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
so this is it's stuff like this that makes Steven Jackson's comments perplexing. So here we go here. This is from not even a year ago. This is not a year. So this ain't when Steven Jackson was a jit and he was subject to doing the same foolish things that Morant is doing. This was less than a year ago. So here is a video of Steven Jackson, quote unquote, checking in.
Yeah. A lot of y'all niggas been a whole block pulling up, taking pictures. Where we at?
Tell them how to come.
We in the middle of it. Fuck
Middle.
you mean, nigga? y'all pull up and take pictures and y'all not allowed to.
They sneak.
And one thing about it, if you're a real one, you don't mind checking in.
Checking in. What'd you say?
I check in with the real one. That's why I'm in the middle of O Block.
Where you at?
What?
I'm in the block.
Yeah.
Listen, man.
Where the people speak, you know what I'm saying? Where the real
He in the middle of it. What,
Shit you
bro?
can't pay for. No rap cap. Shit you can't pay for. Fuck you mean? We really out here. O Block. Shot Town, nigga. Rest in peace, King Bond, nigga. We in the middle of O.
I don't know why it's buffering like that, but yeah, man. In the middle of O Block.
All right, looks like the video there froze up, but y'all get the idea. So that was Steven Jackson checking in Chicago on O Block last year. So so yeah, there you go. Steven Jackson is calling Ja Morant a moron. Is a moron move. His parents should be embarrassed, so on and so forth. So what's your take on Steven Jackson's comments as well as the Ja Morant situation as a whole?
Well, I feel like Steven Jackson was on point. I don't disagree with anything he said there. Moron seems a bit of a strong word, or moron. What it was a moron move, so you can't really fluff that up. It was really stupid. So yeah, I really don't disagree with anything he said in this one. But again, the reason why I wanted to bring up the O Block clip is because, like you said, this wasn't even a year ago. And Stack is well into his 40s. So you're checking in with juveniles, you know, and you're checking in on O Block for what? And you have no affiliation with these people. And yet you pull up where there's a whole bunch of minors playing basketball in the projects, and you like, yeah, you know, y'all can't do this work, you know, y'all ain't got enough clout like me. And it's like, why are you trying to get clout? This is the same thing Morant's doing. So Morant's out here trying to get clout. Steven Jackson's out here less than a year ago trying to get clout. He always just trying to get clout. And he's always trying to prove that he's hard. And like you said, always trying to prove he's about that life. But honestly, man, you know, I think they have the same syndrome. And I feel like his words were, I mean, the 180 he pulled here. I mean, damn, bro. You know, you give up pretty quick. You know, I mean, and he went to bat hard for him, too. You know, he was around there just, you know, slandering us for getting at him, for literally ruining hundreds of millions of dollars. You know, this guy could have been, you know, one of the first young billionaire athletes out there, from all the endorsements and all the goofy stuff he could have got on 2K, this and this and that. And, you know, he's ruining it. And one more thing before I pass it to you. The overall take that most people are having about this is like, yeah, man, you know, we're not saying that he's doing anything illegal, because that's the first thing people like to say. He's not doing anything illegal. It's like, okay, yeah, we know that, but he has a job. And so Stephen A. Smith said that. Others have said it. And I agree. That's the whole point about this whole thing. Bro, you have a job. The NBA is still a job. They don't need you. And so we talked about that the first time. And this guy is, they're not gonna kick him out of the league over this. But if he continues with this trajectory, his career is going to be shorter than it had to be. So what do you think about this, bro? How do you feel about Steven Jackson, Ja Morant, O Block? How do you feel about all of this?
Yeah, the thing with Steven Jackson is, I believe, and you know, I could be wrong, but you know, I do follow Steven Jackson from afar, and I do believe that it is not out of him to check in at some point in the very near future.
Yeah.
So I find it very peculiar that he would just not continue to defend Ja on these along these lines, because I think that a couple months down the road, another video could pop up on the internet with Steven Jackson checking in somewhere else. Because, at a certain point, a tiger does not lose its stripes. And Steven Jackson does, at times, to me at least, try to toe this delicate line between being a conscientious observer, but also being about that life. But I think when push comes to shove, Steven Jackson, much like his co-host on that show that they do, what's the name of that show with Matt Barnes?
All smoke.
All the Smoke. Yeah, much like Matt Barnes, uh, the need to be about that life is going to supersede being a conscientious observer. So it's interesting because the very same, it's like you alluded to, the very same sentiment that has Steven Jackson checking in is the same sentiment that has Ja Morant, you know, you know, um, putting these videos. Now, apparently he himself did not put this particular video out. The second one,
Right.
the first one he did,
Right.
but the second one, it was one of his boys was doing it on his IG live,
Mhm.
and once he saw, you can kind of see how once the shot of Ja holding the pistol comes in the frame, Buddy immediately like moves the phone because he don't want Ja to get in trouble again. But it's too late. All you need is a scintilla, and they have all the visual evidence that they need to know that it's you doing this. So it wasn't Ja's own social media to which the second video can be attributed to, but nevertheless, he's capitulating to the same behavior, and I believe that it's coming from the same place. Whatever that thing is, where dudes need to go from city to city and check in, it's the same thing that has people like Ja Morant doing that. I think it comes from the same sensibility. So that's pretty much where I'll leave it when it comes to Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson can say that now, but I believe that he'll end up, he'll do something like this in the future where he's checking in. And at that point, if you're somebody who's 40 plus checking in, what good is your criticism of Ja Morant in this particular situation? That's how I see that. When it comes to Ja Morant, yeah, more of the same for me. I don't like the way people are trying to suggest that this is being blown out of proportion because of the lack of illegality. Like, no one is saying that this is a problem because it's illegal, or like no one is questioning the legality of what he's doing and using that as the platform upon which to suggest that the stuff that he is doing is ridiculous. Like, no one with sense, no credible person in the media or on the streets is saying that what Ja Morant is doing is stupid because of the legality of it. No one's saying that. What we're saying is you're risking way too much by doing this stuff. And like, I'm sorry, but the NBA, yeah, the NBA, playing in the NBA isn't a right. It's a privilege. Just like, driving isn't a right. It's a privilege. If I get into DUIs, now I granted there is a legality there, so maybe that's not the right comparison. But if I'm prone to reckless behavior when I'm behind the wheel, and my reckless behavior isn't necessarily illegal, but it does put certain things at risk, then my driving privileges might be revoked because of that. And so, with Ja Morant, none of this is illegal per se, but it's the sense behind it. What you're doing is putting a lot at stake in terms of your livelihood, your public reputation, and the reputation of those whom you represent, whether that's your parents, your family, whomever. These are you putting these things at risk are the reasons why doing this type of stuff is ill advised. And I think that that's all people are saying. And I don't think any of that is out of bounds. But a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of people in our community are taking it that far. And they are also suggesting that there's no difference between what Ja's doing here and when, like, a politician poses for a pic with his rifle or something like this. Um, and the insinuation there is playing the race angle, saying that it's bad, and we're making a cultural observation at that point because you're dealing with black man listening to rap music. So black man listening to rap music with a gun, optically is going to rub people a certain kind of way. Whereas, I don't know, non-black guy not listening to rap music, holding a rifle in front of his rifle case, rubs people a different kind of way. And how there's a double standard in play there because they should be perceived the same way. Well, people, I'm sorry, but they're not the same. Like they're not. I'm sorry, they're not the same.
Not
I'm
a
saying
thing.
and listen, I'm black. I'm black. If and like, and the thing about it is that I have, so there's people in my family who like to hunt. They got guns all day, every day, and they may post a pic on social media holding a rifle next to a hog that they just killed, or whatever the game or kill they made when they were off doing their hunting thing. When I see these people posting their pics on social media holding their guns after going hunting, it rubs me a certain type of way. That seeing Ja Morant do what he does rubs me in a different kind of way. They're not the same. And I get so tired of people out here trying to make these false equivalencies so that they can defend things that are otherwise not defensible. Like, look, stop doing the race angle. Stop, like, these situations aren't the same. Okay, if you want to say that Ja Morant posted a pic in front of his gun collection at his home and people got mad and wanted to get him suspended from the NBA, then I'd be like, okay, well, what's the difference between that and somebody, posing for a pic that is supposed to represent like the NRA at like some gun conference or something like that?
Right.
Okay, because that would be a reasonable comparison to make. And I'm not necessarily trying to absolve gun culture. I do think that that's an issue in the West that we need to address. But let's call a spade a spade. Those two things are not the same. And me as a black person, me seeing video of black guy in a car listening to rap music, toting pistols, does appeal to me in a certain kind of way that non-black person in his home or at a gun conference posting a pic without all of that kind of stuff, simply, big enough for guns, is going to rub me in a different kind of way. They are not the same. But you have a lot of people who are supposed to be smart the last couple of days in the media are trying to are trying to make this equivalency as if it's the same, and they are not the same. But be that as it may, whether you want to make that equivalency or not, at the end of the day, I think everyone can agree that Ja Morant has far too much to lose to do things that can put his public reputation and his livelihood at risk. And I think that that's all people are saying. And we talk about this type of thing on this channel often. We have a lot of people in this world who are social anarchists. They want people to be able to do whatever they want and say whatever they want, however they want, whenever they want. And you have a lot of people who think that you should just be able to be out here bumping your music and toting pistols and nothing should happen to you. I don't believe that that's the world that we live in. And this is proof of that. The NBA is a private employer. If they feel as though what you're doing is detrimental to their public image, they're going to discipline you. Sorry, but that's the way the world works. If you don't like it, be employed by yourself. That way you can do whatever you want conduct wise and not have to answer to people. But people cut a check to Ja Morant. There's a billionaire who cuts his checks. If the billionaire says, I don't want something like that representing my company, in this case, the Grizzlies, or if the NBA as a private entity that's for profit says we don't want that because the conduct is detrimental to our public image, then they reserve the right to make whatever call they want. And if you don't like that, then you're just going to have to reconcile your thirst for social anarchy elsewhere and leave the NBA to do whatever they want. But that's pretty much all people have to say. And it's unfortunate that people can't see the forest through the trees, and they have to, at every chance they get, talk about race and all of these other things when this is just a matter of common sense. Bro, don't do stuff like that. You're putting too much at risk. There's too much to lose. And it's always the case that the people who have that to say are people who have far less to lose than someone like Ja Morant. So you, guy who probably works in a restaurant kitchen, or you damn sure don't make 40, 50, 60, $70 million a year. I know that. and you don't have a Nike deal and a Powerade deal and whatever other endorsements that you have, corporate sponsorships and whatnot. So easy for you to say he should be able to do whatever he wants. It ain't illegal. Bro, it's not that simple. And people need to quit it with all of this lazy logic because it has a lot to do with what's gotten us here today. So, you know, I'm not even gonna sit up here and say hopefully Ja Morant learns and can blah 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 blah. I said that last time. I don't even give a damn anymore. At this point, people just need to learn that there's consequences to actions. That's pretty much it. So they're not the same. It's not an equivalent. People need to stop playing the race card. Stop drawing false equivalencies. There are repercussions for bad conduct. And no matter how much we try to deviate from the need to conduct ourselves with good conduct, there are still going to be spaces in this society where you need to uphold yourself with proper conduct, or else you'll have to deal with it.
Yeah, man. And I didn't even hear that argument of, it could be race related or whatever. Saying that, white guy with a gun, next to his gun case or holding his gun collection or whatever. That's completely opposite. It's not even the same thing. Now, if it was a white boy with with emo clothes on, blaring some rock music,
Right.
and then he had a automatic rifle while he's blaring the music on his live. If that guy played in the NBA, that would freak out the NBA.
I agree. Yeah.
So, nah, man. So, young black man holding a gun, listening to, NBA young boys, and he's losing it. And so, and it's just like, yeah, man, we don't want this image. We see what goes on World Star Hip Hop. We see what goes on in you guys' videos. That's not the NBA. And it's like, hey, man, you have a job. And so, he's not seeing that. Last time we had talked about this, I had brought up Miles Bridges. I still don't know what's going on with him. I think he was hurt this year, but still, even then, I mean, bro was just wilding out with his rap videos and stuff like that. I mean, just trying to be a real nigga in the NBA. And you don't have to do that. And, go through any aggressive area in the United States, and all those dudes turn into fans. He doesn't have to prove anything to those people. He doesn't have to prove anything to us. And yet and still, he has this complex. And the people out there that's defending him, I'm really starting to think it's just kids. And I got to see how old these people are on these accounts. That's sitting here defending him, talking about these, like you said, lazy arguments. It's like, bro, what are you even talking about? Who cares? Nobody cares that it's not illegal. It's just dumb to do that. So, when the last celebrity that you seen, on any ad, you know what I'm saying, running around slapping up kids allegedly. Pulling up the high schools allegedly. All of this stuff. And it's like, why is this all circling around this guy and that same homeboy? And because I saw the clip and I was like, dang, bro, did try to look out for him. But the more I watched it, that boy looked dead at him when he had that gun in his hand, and then peered the camera over, and then want to act like he shot. This is where everybody want to say it, hey man, these people around you is not your friends or whatever. I forgot whatever his name, so Pack, whatever Pack. And that's his boy, and that's the one that got kicked out of the arena for beaming people.
Right.
And so it's the same guy.
Yeah.
And there's people in this world that try to latch onto you and call themselves your friends, and they just want to extract. And this guy's clearly an extractor, clearly a hater, and he doesn't want to see his boy win. And it shows in his actions. So, hey man, at some point people got to grow up. They still running around like they're in middle school. And it's like, hey, because hey, man, you got a daughter and all this other stuff. Like, man, you should be
Right.
adulting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And so this is a wild scene, but nevertheless, all right. I don't even know if this is going to course correct this guy. I think he's I don't know what's going on, and it might be something wrong. So from I don't know, I don't know, man.
Yeah, you never know, man. That's correct. He could be somebody who needs to not drink or something. You never know. I'm not speculating. I'm not suggesting that he has any kind of substance abuse issue. I'm saying that it's
No,
on the table. It's on the table. You never know. Like we've known people have different tolerances for different things, and certain people have different sorts of triggers and psychosomatic triggers and things like that. Like, and it can be aided or subdued based upon the presence of a substance or lack thereof, right? So you just don't know. You don't know what his mental constitution is. We don't know, and perhaps that plays a role in a lot of this. But at the end of the day, man, um, we do this weird thing with pro athletes because we engage in hero worship with them in this country, where we just automatically assign the best human characteristics to these individuals by default. And then we get disappointed whenever they do dumb shit like this. Like this guy might just be an idiot, and people need to get over the horror. Oh my God, the horror that Ja Morant might be a dumbass. Maybe Ja Morant's a dumbass. And that's, what I'm saying? Like, that's life. Not everybody's this angelic, perfect human being. Maybe this guy's a dumbass. He just happens to be a dumbass who can jump really high and play stupid basketball. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, stop thinking that people aren't prone to doing dumb stuff. This might be who he is. Now, granted, he's what, 23, 24, something like that. I'm a completely different human now compared to who I was when I was that age. So the possibility for him to evolve is definitely there. But make no mistake about it, some of my baseline characteristics from when I was that age are still around. At a certain elementary level, some of this stuff just doesn't go anywhere. See Steven Jackson checking in, and he's 40 some years old. Like at a certain point, a lot of this stuff doesn't go anywhere. So it is what it is. Like, what help does he need? I don't know. Like, unless it's determined that he has some sort of issue with alcohol or something else, he might just be somebody who does dumb stuff. And it just so happens that now, because we're living in such a narcissistic society, people have no compunctions about showcasing their idiocy publicly on the internet because people are narcissistic and just need that currency of attention. So, you know, the NBA can just decide we don't want that kind of idiotic behavior going on here. And then at that point, he'll have to decide whether he can deal with that or whether, as you said earlier, he ends up having a short lived career. It is what it is, bro. But people need to stop making false equivalencies to have these larger societal conversations. I'm not averse to that, but I also say that do it in its appropriate context. In this situation, the dude's just doing dumb stuff. And this is not the same as somebody blasting, heavy metal rock music, wearing goth clothes,
Right.
Holding an AR-15 or a rifle. It's
Right.
not the same. So those two things are not the same. It really annoys me when people draw false equivalencies like that. White politician at a gun conference taking a picture holding a rifle isn't the same as those other scenarios.
Right.
Stop trying to make stuff the same. That's not the same. And I've seen a lot of that going around. I even saw JJ Redick make some kind of false equivalency like that on TV today. So it's just like people need to stop doing that. And Ja Morant just might be an idiot. So again, I'm not gonna say hope he gets better because that goes without saying. I'm just gonna say that maybe he is an individual who is not what y'all think he is. And to Steven Jackson, you can do all of that. You can be righteous now when it comes to Ja Morant, and that's fine. just, don't be somebody who's going to be 48, 50 years old checking in the hood, because it kind of makes you look like you're cut from the same cloth. So, that's pretty much it for me.
I mean, and to be a real one, like Steven Jackson always claims that he is, he switched up pretty fast on Ja there. That's what I'm saying. But that didn't take long at all. You're supposed to still be holding him down.
Yeah.
Now he's a moron, making moron moves, throwing him under the bus. That's not what real ones do. Stat. This guy here, he plays this character of a real nigga from our era. So he's carrying himself like those guys did, and he's still doing it. Ja's the new generation. The NBA young boys who they all look up to.
Yeah.
They all look up to this guy. So he's their Lil Wayne, if you will. And so he's carving the new way that these guys act, how aggressive they are. I mean, he's not the only person that holds guns in videos. I mean, everybody does it, but it's still that level of aggression that comes with young boys' music that these kids are eating it up. So I'm not surprised that Ja's a fan of this. He's just a reflection of what's going on in modern music.
Yeah.
And so I keep hearing people keep saying that that's not what's going on, but he was listening to the song,
right,
as he's waving a pistol, brandishing a weapon. And so, yeah, man, the last thing I'll say this: if you don't think music controls you, next time you go to a club or festival or wherever they're playing music, and the DJ, the beat's just playing, the DJ says, put your hands up. Everybody put your hands up. Everybody puts their damn hands up. When back that ass up comes on, the first little doom, 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 doom. Every woman from my generation, whatever they were doing, they're dropping it. And they're going to the dance floor to twerk something. And me, from PTSD in my club days, yeah, both my ears go up, and I'm looking for something to get behind. These songs create automated responses in people. So Ja's listening to that song. He's got the weapon on him. Damn right, I'm about to wave this motherfucker. And as he's waving it, he's got a hater sitting right next to him and films him. Oh, my bad, bruh. I ain't know you was going to do that. It's like, yeah, give me a break.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, automated response. So am I taking up for Ja? Nah, but he is a prime example because his life is on display. He's not the young man that we read about in a paper or see on the news, because we don't know his life story. We don't know what songs he was listening to, but it's the same pattern. Ja just got hundreds of millions of dollars. Hopefully he's not checking in the old block in Memphis, getting extorted, waving crip. Well, you better slow down. You know what I'm saying? Do that in the mirror in the house, bro. That's what I used to do. Whenever that music was taking control and I wanted to throw up some signs, I ain't throwing that up in the club. First of all, I don't even know how to throw them up. But sometimes I'll throw something up. I'm not going to disrespect the game by doing the demonstration right now. But still, when you want to do stuff like that, do that in the confines of your own home. Don't go around putting it online because you look goofy. Do that goofy shit at the house. So, yeah, man, long-winded, but yeah, like you said, we can wish this guy the best, but he clearly ate up that propaganda thing that they told us, oh yeah, I went to rehab. Whoop de whoop. You know what I'm saying? Back at it. Nobody bought that. So if he felt like he skated and he's got that energy about him, then yeah, it's not much we can do to be on his side. So that's the part about what Stack said that I do agree with, but he did switch up, and real ones don't switch up. So
Yeah. Shouts out. My god brother is a very prominent DJ. Shouts out to my god brother DJ Bo Weezy. And I used to talk to him. I used to be like, bro, you got superpowers. You're a human with superpowers. Because when you say to do something, people gonna do it. Because you behind them turntables and you playing that music, you can just make people do whatever you say. You could say you can be playing music and be like, everybody get on the dance floor and do jumping jacks, and they're gonna do it. People will do it.
no, there'll be people doing it.
Yeah, people will do it because people become zombies when it comes to this music.
That's right.
They really do. And so I used to say that to him all the time, man. Like, you got to realize superpower. Other people wish that they could fly and shape shift, but you are a living, breathing superhero for real. Because you're like Professor X, but you're not a telepath. You're just a DJ, but you can do the same thing. You can just put that music on and do that, and they'll do it. And so I used to tease him about that all the time, but he never denied that he never said I was wrong. He never said I was wrong, man. Shouts out to Bo Weezy. But yeah, it controls people. But what are you gonna do? Good luck, Ja. Hopefully you don't lose too much of that $200+ million contract you had coming your way.
Damn, wow.
Yeah.
Humble the bag.
Wild.